I never thought I'd miss the smell of courthouse coffee, but after 25 years of it soaked into my clothes, silence felt unnatural. Real silence. The kind that presses against your eardrums and makes you listen for things that aren't there. That's what I came looking for when I bought the old cabin outside Sandpoint, Idaho. 3 acres of overgrown timber, a half-collapsed roof, and a private lake frontage nobody had touched since the Reagan administration. The county auction listing called it distressed. I called it freedom. I paid $38,000 cash, signed the papers with a pen that still had ink from some divorce settlement back in Spokane, and drove out there the same week. The road in was little more than 2 ruts and a prayer. My Ford rattled over washboards, past a hand-painted sign somebody shot full of .22 holes that once said Clearwater Shores, private. I laughed when I saw it. The assessor had been crystal clear. My parcel was carved out in 1948, long before any development, long before any HOA ever dreamed of existing. No covenants, no dues, no busybody with a clipboard telling me what color my mailbox could be. The first night, I slept on a cot under the stars because the roof still looked like God had punched it. The Milky Way was so bright it felt close enough to touch. I remember thinking, this is it. This is what retirement is supposed to feel like. Then came the black Suburban. I was up on the ridgepole, hammering the last row of shingles, when I heard gravel pop. There it was, parked at the edge of the pines, no plates, tinted windows, just idling. It sat there long enough for me to count to 90, then reversed smooth as you please and vanished. I told myself it was a lost fisherman. My gut told me different. 2 mornings later, I walked out with coffee and found my gate hanging by one hinge. A gleaming aluminum sign had been driven into the dirt right where my driveway started. Private community, Clearwater Shores, no trespassing. The stake was still wet with creosote. Someone had brought it special, just for me. The boot prints around it were deep, size 12 or better, and the tire tracks came in from the old logging spur behind the cabin, not the county road. Whoever it was knew this land better than I did. That was Tuesday. By Friday, they had rotated every solar panel to face straight up. Batteries died at dusk. Cameras went blind one by one. My cell phone, which had scraped by with one flickering bar, flatlined. I found the jammer later, a gray plastic box strapped high in a ponderosa, blinking red like it was proud of itself. The nights got creative. They played a recording of a German Shepherd on a perfect 30-second loop until I wanted to chew through the walls. Then came the high-pitched whine that lived inside your molars. Then 3 slow knocks on the back wall at 2:13 a.m., right beside where my head lay. I'd sit up in the dark with the Remington across my knees and wait for the next move. It always came. I'm 61 years old. I've been shot at in alleyways in Tacoma and lied to by federal judges. I don't scare easy. But I'll be honest. There were nights I wondered if I'd bitten off more than an old man ought to chew. Then they crossed the line from harassment to home invasion. It was just past 2:30 when the motion lights flared. 2 figures in black hoodies moved across the yard like they'd rehearsed it. One swept a red-lensed flashlight along the windows. The other worked the front door with a lockpick gun. I racked the shotgun so hard the sound cracked through the walls like God clearing his throat. They scattered, but they left a crowbar and a Motorola talk about still warm from somebody's hand. I sat on the porch until sunrise holding that radio, listening to static and thinking about how easy it would be to start walking and never come back. Instead, I texted one man. Jack Brennan and I spent 15 years working major crimes together in Spokane before we both burned out and walked away. I sent him a single photo at 3:17 a.m., the crowbar lying in the dirt. His reply came 30 seconds later, on my way. 6 hours after that, his silver Chevy rolled up my drive with Washington plates and road dust thick as flour. Jack took one look at the boot prints, the disabled cameras, the fake sign still staked in my yard, and said the words I didn't want to hear. This isn't random, Tom. This is a campaign. He spent the next week working the county courthouse like a second job. What he brought back on a Thursday afternoon made my stomach drop clean through the porch boards. Clearwater Shores wasn't just a gated community with pickleball courts and wine nights. It was the front for a $62 million lakeside resort deal. My 3 acres were the missing puzzle piece, the only flat bench that connected the existing lots to the water, and the only spot wide enough for the main lodge footprint. Without it, the whole project collapsed. With it, the investors cleared 8 figures. The HOA president, Diane Whitaker, blonde, 62, always photographed in pastel Talbots and pearls, had already pocketed a $50,000 consulting fee, wired through a Delaware LLC to make the problem parcel go away. When their shell corporation got outbid at the tax sale, Diane did what any self-respecting tyrant does. She weaponized the association. Ray Caldwell was her muscle. Ex-military police, dishonorable discharge, now wore a forest green polo like it was a uniform, and carried a Glock he liked to let people see. Diane's instructions were simple. Make the new owner leave, voluntarily or otherwise. The final raid came on a night so dark the trees looked wet. I'd known it was coming. Jack slept in his truck with the windows cracked and his service Glock on the seat. At 1:48 a.m., the cameras caught movement. For figures this time. Ray led them, moving like a man who decided tonight was the night. They had bolt cutters, pry bars, and the quiet confidence of people who believed no one was coming to help. They were wrong. Jack stepped out of the shadows with his flashlight in one hand and 9mm of authority in the other. Ray made the mistake of going for the gun. 30 years of bar fights and back alley takedowns ended with Ray face down in my gravel, Jack's knee in his back, and my shotgun covering the other three, while the first sheriff's cruiser I'd seen in weeks came screaming up the road with lights painting the pines red and blue. The trial lasted 9 days and felt like 9 years. Former residents lined up to testify about years of fines, threats, and fear. Ray took the stand in an orange jumpsuit and played the jury a recording he'd made for insurance. Diane Whitaker's voice, cool as January, telling him, "I don't care how you do it, Ray. Just make sure that cabin is empty by Labor Day. Anything short of murder is on the table." Diane lost it right there in open court. Stood up screaming about conspiracies and squatters and protecting property values, while deputies dragged her out still clutching her designer handbag like it could save her. The judge gave her 14 years. Ray drew 8. The HOA was dissolved by judicial order before the ink on the verdict was dry. I rebuilt the gate with 6-inch steel posts and concrete a meter deep. I hung the county's official no trespassing sign in the middle. Underneath it I bolted a smaller one I had made special in Coeur d'Alene. Smile, Diane. You're on camera. Some nights I sit on the deck I finished last month, feet up on the rail, coffee gone cold while I watch the northern lights dance over the water. The owls are back. The raccoons still try their luck. And once in a while an envelope shows up under a rock on the porch steps. Handwritten notes from people who lived under Diane's thumb for 20 years, thanking me for giving them their neighborhood back. I never wanted another war. But I learned something out here among the pines that I wish I'd known at 30. Peace isn't the absence of trouble. Peace is what's left when you refuse to let trouble take what's yours. Now I need to hear from you. When someone with money and connections decides your home doesn't matter, when they send men in the dark to break your gate and your spirit, where do you draw the line? Would you have stayed and fought with a 61-year-old body and a deer rifle, or would you have walked away to keep breathing easy? Is there ever a point where standing your ground, even with force, is the only moral choice left? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me your line in the dirt. I read every comment, and I answer when I can. Let's talk about what it really means to defend a home in this country.